Welcome to all. Venkatesh, please proceed further.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I, Venkatesh Tade, active member of ISRE Ahmedabad chapter. Welcome you all on behalf of ISRE Ahmedabad chapter. Our today's tech talk is on non-chemical cooling tower, water treatment and filtration solution. We have two great speakers today, Mr. Sunil Kher. Mr. Sunil Kher is the managing director of Sevcon India Private Limited. He is graduate mechanical engineer from NIT Kurukshetra with specialization in refrigeration and air conditioning. He brings with him the knowledge and experience of domestic and international market, having worked in large conglomerates prior to forming Sevcon. Mr. Kher, a very well-known figure in a trade, has brought excellence and great contributed to the growth of HVAC and building services industry in India. At professional society level, he has held various positions at ISRE and ESRE, including being Delhi chapter president, ESRE India chapter president and national treasurer, and as a chairman of ISRE Finance Committee at HQ level. I welcome Mr. Sunil Kher and Mr. Saurav Dhara. Mr. Saurav Dhara is managing marketing engineer and service in Sevcon. He is the graduate mechanical engineer. He started his career in Sevcon in 2014, brings with him the knowledge and passion. At society level, he has delivered lectures at ISRE Meerut subchapter, Mumbai chapter, Delhi chapter. Saurav is Sevcon apart from sales manager, engineering and marketing, also product specialized. Non-chemical cooling tower water treatment system, non-barrier filtration system, air purification and disinfection system, thermal energy storage, latent and sensible heat. Overview of today's session is advancement method of cooling tower water treatment without using chemicals, treatment of scaling, corrosion, biofouling, and lesser blowdown losses, filtration approaches, and effect of increase in fouling and how equipments can be maintained at design efficiency. I welcome both the speakers. Welcome, sir. You may proceed, sir. Saurav, sir.
Yeah, good evening, on and all. Thanks, Venkatesh sir, for your introduction. Thanks, Rajendra sir. I would like to, I'd like to thank for the opportunity given to us, right, for this session. Thanks to the program chair, Mr. Amit ji. Thanks, President Aditi ma'am, and thanks, Ahmedabad chapter, right. Hope I am audible to everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good to hear that. So today's session is all about cooling tower water treatment and filtration solutions, right? Generally, in our industries, we have seen that very less importance is being given to that cooling tower segment. So some guys in our segment call them as a poor cooling towers, maybe, right? So we'll see what are the challenges being faced and how we can override that, right? Yeah. So cooling tower, we all know that it's a heat rejection device which is being used to dispose of the unwanted heats from the system, from the condenser side, obviously. But we often see that it's being operating at lesser efficiencies than what it is designed actually. So here are certain terminologies of cooling towers, right? I'll just brief through them. Evaporation is obviously the loss which we have through evaporation, means the water quantity which is evaporated due to the cooling duty. Then there is a driftage loss or windage loss. So that's the loss of fine droplets in the air discharge from a cooling tower. Means while wind is blowing from the, suppose from the left side, so some droplets of water will be going to the right hand side. So those laws are known as nothing but drift loss or windage loss. The third one is blowdown loss or bleed off loss, right? Blowdown loss or bleed off loss is the amount of water which we need to bleed off from the cooling tower drain wall to maintain a perfect cycle of concentration, and also to maintain the parameters of recommended parameters in the cooling tower water. Now, what is cycle of blow down? By formula, if we go, it's actually evaporation loss by concentration of cycles minus 1. Now, cycles of concentration is basically the ratio of dissolved solid in a cooling circulating water to the dissolved solid in a makeup water. Then suppose your makeup water has chlorine of 50 ppm, right? And while in circulating water you have a chlorine level of 250 ppm. So 50 divided by 250, 250 divided by 50, that comes to 5. So you can operate at 5 COCs. Now, what is makeup water? As the name suggests, makeup means that is the total of losses, right? The basic losses are evaporation, blow down, and drifted loss. So all this put together is the makeup water record. So what are the cooling tower problems we generally face? There are 3 or 4 major problems which is being faced in the cooling towers. The first one is obviously the scaling. Right? The first picture also shows that it's a deposition of calcium carbonate, which precipitates in fine layers in your condenser tubes, in the whole condenser loop actually. Second is corrosion, that is generally due to rusting, like ferric oxide also. Third one is biofouling, which is like cooling tower, since it has a warm atmosphere and lots of this oxygenated water inside that. So this anaerobic bacteria will find their best place for breeding. So algal bloom and all those are examples for biofouling. Also the excess blow down losses, like irrespective of this like going the recommended limits going high very quickly, so we need a frequent blow down losses. Somewhere in some site I have seen that they will partially also open the drain wall to some extent to keep the water running. So as a result of this, what affects it does actually, there is an increase obviously in the electricity consumption due to the fouling factor increase, the increase in water consumption because you are bleeding off more waters, reduced efficiencies of the cooling tower, thereby shorter life cycle of the equipment, and obviously health hazards. Health hazards as in sense like yeah, this cooling towers are actually more prone to bacteria like Legionella. Um, so those causes strep pneumonia, whooping coughs, etc. So here is a wonderful depiction of how fouling versus power consumption increase based on only scaling, right? Treatment, if proper treatment is not there. So here you can see the fouling factor at the starting of the project was 0.001. So that is basically a 0.3 mm thickness of the film. Film in the sense the deposition of scale or biofilm, whatever. So at that time, the IKW of the fresh chiller per ton was near about 0.62. So within 3 or 4 months, it reached to a fouling factor of 0.02. So what happened? You can see that there is an sharp increase in the electricity consumption of 6.45%. Like suppose in other terms, like if in the starting days you are paying 100 rupees, now you are paying 106 rupees. So 6 rupees extra you need to pay on the electricity consumption now due to the increase of the fouling factor, and thereby your approach increases and IKW of the chiller also increases. That's why. So now coming the question arises, what's the solution to go ahead solving these problems and also maintaining the equipment and design efficiency? So those are very common pictures which we generally see at sites, right? Those are conventional methods which includes the treatment through chemicals. It will have some barrels of chemicals and generally will have three major containers, one for anti-scallant, one for biocide, one for anti-corrosive agent, then other chemicals also, some pH regulators, some passivators, right? So this first of all use massive use of chemicals which are obviously expensive, and also like they need a close monitoring for that, and the safety of handling the chemicals is another issue. Obviously, you should store the chemicals properly in a site, in a storeroom. So EST is a modern day technology, like it's called non-chemical cooling tower water treatment or electrochemical scale treatment system, EST, right? So it's a state-of-art system, obviously, which prevents scaling, corrosion, biofouling, and also reduces blowdown with a single equipment. Um, that is the basic components of the EST. We'll require that for you to know because we'll have that discussion in the next slides. So the first the reaction tank, right? The blue tank you can see, it's the reaction tank. Second is the patented anode depicted in the red, right? Third is the scraper motor on the top, so which is connected to a scraper, obviously, which rotates after a certain time and bleeds off. Then fifth is the valve, inlet valve. Sixth is the drain valve, so that you drain whatever deposition is there after a certain period of time. And power supply and air intake valves, right? So those are a very simpler system. Now we'll come to the operating principle of a ESC system, right? As the name suggests, like electrochemical scale treatment system, this treatment system basically works on the principle of electrolysis and helps us in removal of scaling, corrosion, and biofouling. By electrolysis, we obviously know that there will be some anode, some cathode, and some connecting fluid in between them, which we call as electrolyte. In our case, the tank inner wall acts as the cathode. And those red ones in the pictures which I shown in the before slide, those are anodes. So anodes are basically made of titanium nickel oxide in case because so that it's highly resistant to the water. Now what happens when the water enters your tank, right? A DC current is being passed through the anodes. So what happens? The water being the electrolyte, it breaks into H plus and OH minus ions. So we know that OH minus ion will have negative charge, so it will get attracted towards the cathode or the tank inner wall, while H plus ions will move towards the anode, right? So what happens? Cathode OH also is a alkaline in nature, and H plus is acidic in nature. So what happens? OH minus accumulation of the OH minus ions near the tank inner wall happens that pH near the tank wall increases to 13, while due to H plus accumulation near the anode, the pH decreases to a level of 3. So one side is highly alkaline, one side is highly basic. Now, how does it solve effectively? How does that solves effectively all the problems, right? That's the question. So as you see, like the pH near the tank wall is 13, which is a high alkaline in nature. So we all know that calcium will have a tendency to precipitate in the system wherever it will get. First condition, a warm atmosphere basically, and second condition, a higher pH. So warm condition is obviously in the cooling tower zone, and secondly, the pH high is in our tank. So what that allows, like the tank will make itself prone for all the calcium to settle inside it without settling anywhere in the your condenser loop, right? So once the calcium carbonate settled or precipitated in the tank walls, the it will be scrapped and removed after a regular interval. Like there is a scrapper motor which we have shown. Then second problem which we are dealing was corrosion. Okay, can you go back to the previous slide? Yeah. Uh, the second problem which we was discussing was corrosion, right? So corrosion, how that is solved? First, first thing is that during this electrolytic reactions, the copper and iron ions are formed on the cathode side. So that creates an anti-corrosive environment first of all. like because those are like more active reagents, right? And further to that, the precipitation of calcium alone, like we are depositing the calcium, so relative volume of magnesium is also increasing, right? So magnesium is an excellent anti-corrosive agent. Like it itself will corrode first, then it will let iron to corrode. So it's a sacrificial production in that case. Third, like biofouling, due to this H plus ion concentration near the anodes, it decreases the pH levels, right? So, and also it produces some more oxidants, like some small sort of ozone, and also this free chlorides are converted to free chloride. So all that put together acts as a great disinfectant. So the water is disinfected also in that case. So we'll just go through a brief on the chemical reactions. I'll not go much deeper. So in the cathode side, if you can see that OH minus ions are being formed, and at the end there is calcium hydroxide or calcium carbonate being formed, right, which is precipitating in the walls of the tank. So that solves your problem scaling. While on the other side, you can see this radical chlorine is converted to chlorine dioxide. So wherever your water will have higher volume of chlorine in your water, that water will be prone for anti corrosion. Sorry, means if you have higher level of chlorides, you will have the water will be prone towards corrosion actually. Means I have seen places in Noida where they will have chlorine of near about 400 or 350, right? So there, wherever the windows will be there, so they will have all the parts rusted basically. And further to that, this molecular chlorine also is being formed, so that acts as a anti this biocide. Sorry, it will help to disinfect the water and kill the microorganisms being formed. Rather than radical ozone and radical OH ions are formed, so those will also will take care of the biofungal activities. Now, what are the general benefits apart from obviously dealing in scale corrosion and biofouling and wastage of blood and water? You can have savings in annual treatment cost, which like because you are not using any chemicals right now. Since you are not using any chemicals right now, you can save some portion of blood and water also, and further there is a savings in electricity consumption, and obviously due to less maintenance, you will have labor cost reductions. Additional advantages like it's obviously exterior to cooling tower, no changes in installations are required. It has a very low life cycle cost, and actually there are parameters which you can measure and control through the systems to ensure that the quality of water is maintained, what is recommended, what you want. And it's a single equipment you have seen. It's a single equipment, and also there is no much moving parts, so very less maintenance is required. So enhance the overall efficiency of the AC system, reduces downtime and maintenance cost. One system does it all. Also, it saves water because you are saving means the blow down water, so you are indirectly saving the makeup water also. And one further thing is that the blow down water is now free of any chemicals, right? Because you are not adding any chemical into the system, only using non-chemical water treatment system. So the blow down water can be used for irrigation or other internal needs. So those are certain challenges which are depicted for chemical if we use, right? Uh, Obviously, for chemicals, using chemicals, it would require different dosing levels for different chemicals at different measure quantities, some 5 liters, some 2 liters, some needs to be frequency, needs to be set properly. It should be checked whether it is being dosing at proper interval or not. Then obviously this monitoring is a big issue in that case. It requires higher expertise and automated dosing equipment. Also, like you need to have automated bleed of walls. So, but what the chemical does is actually like it doesn't kills the problem, right? it actually don't allow the calcium to settle. It will keep that in suspended form so that it doesn't settle. So in that case, you are actually increasing the TDS also. The chemical TDS stands for total dissolved solids, right? So the chemical itself will have some TDS value, plus it is not allowing the calcium to settle. So it will have a further increased TDS. So you need to excessively blow down the water in that case. And obviously those are not environmental friendly, and like it can also accelerate corrosion sometimes. Coming to the installations, like the installations of ESC is very simple. There are huge pilots being done, and our principal has arrived to a solution like we can size one system per 1,000 here. So it's a small system of like 1 by 1 maybe square meter, and per 1,000 TR one system will be equal. There are no special this thing required for ESC system. Just raised floor would be required, and you can install anywhere, like with cooling tower or in a condenser pipe. So there are some basic pictures of connection. In the first picture, if you see one cooling tower is connected to one ESC. And in the next picture, you can see that like 300 TR cooling towers, three numbers are connected to one ESC. While in the third picture, you can see a huge, might be a 3,000 TR cooling tower connected to 3 EST. So it's a modular system, and you can connect hardware deemed suitability. So basically, it's like incoming water is taken from the cooling tower, and the outgoing water is again dipped into the cooling tower. So it keeps on treating the water. Rajendra ji, am I going too fast?
No, sir.
Actually, I'm not able to listen anyone, so I'm feeling a bit
No, sir.
all fine, huh?
All
Right?
fine, sir.
So I'll just continue. So, what are the system parameters? Some system parameters are displayed and adjusted being a user, so that we have a user-friendly display mounted on the panel. The system should show the ongoing pH conductivity, so that you don't dip your pH meter or conductivity meter and keep on measuring every time. So input from that should come to the system, and it should automatically maintain the recommended water parameters. And thereafter you should have some alarm sort of system which should like uh, give an alarm when the pH is going high or the conductivity is going high or excess blow down is going right. Certain pictures of certain systems are shown actually, like alarms being shown or system okay being right. There is no alarm, so system okay is being shown, or high alarm, but you can set the values. If a high alarm needs to be given, what pH level after 8.5 you need to give a high alarm, right? So there are various types of system in which it comes like washing by time option or washing by conductivity. Like it has both the solutions. Washing by time means you can preset the equipment to wash after every 2 hours or 2 minutes, right? It will wash first and then it will uh, scrap off the calcium between precipitated in the tank wall, and then blow it down for 2 minutes or so, right? And thereafter there is an option called washing by conductivity. So you can uh, I'll just try to a bit loud because I believe somebody has said that audio is a bit low. Then the second option is like washing by conductivity, which like the input value we can set in whatever conductivity value we want, or the TDS in easy terms. If we say like 2,500 or 2,000 ppm, we need to set that TDS. We can set that value, and after when it increases by that value, so the system automatically blows down that amount of little amount of water. So there are various analysis tools actually. So you can see a mass balance analysis tool here being shown here. So that you can input all the parameters in that, like calcium, what are the ongoing water parameters, calcium, hardness, what is the alkalinity, pH. So based on that, you can calculate what amount of blowdown you would be actually required and what should be the washing time and washing frequency of the system, right? And also it would give you a like technical calculative idea of how much calcium will be precipitated or how much calcium is coming and how much calcium will be precipitated in EST and how much will be washing in a cycle per day. So here is the depiction of that. The, the water from the cooling tower is coming, right? So from the makeup, it is showing based on that previous calculation only, this picture has come up. So in the makeup water per day, it was coming near about 7.68 kg. So calcium which is being precipitated in the EST was near about 4, and which was out with washing during the blowdown was 3 kg per day. So instead of depositing that much calcium in the system or keeping it in suspended form, this equipment is actually taking that calcium out of the system. So by that, it is protecting your condenser loop to be free from scaling, right? You're not allowing the calcium to sediment somewhere else. First of all, you are allowing it to sediment or precipitate it inside the tank. Then you are eliminating that instead of keeping in suspended form or in allowing it to from scaling in your system. There is another analysis tool which I want to discuss with you. There is a term called Langelier saturation index, right, in our field. So it's like a pH scale 0 to 14, right? 0 to 7 is sort of acidic, 7 to 14 is sort of basic. It's similar sort of that only. It will actually indicate that the scaling tendency of the water. So it has a scale from +3 to -3. +3 towards 0 to +3 is towards scaling, and 0 to -3 is towards corrosion. So if you have something in positive figures, it's towards scaling. Something in negative figures, you will have towards corrosion. So you can see a rough picture of that sheet. Here the calculation formula is also given, and the LSI stands for 1. 1 is normally fine. It will not have that much scaling because you cannot afford corrosion in your system. A bit of scaling is obviously a good thing, but you can reduce that to 0.8 or 0.7 or whatever. So here is a live example what we did actually, like a calculation based on that. So TDS was 2000, pH was ongoing water 8.2, C is nothing but the temperature, then calcium is 200, alkalinity is 450. So based on that, we calculated the LSI or Langelier saturation index of that water was coming near about 1.26 or 1.3, right? So after that, what we did, we installed the EST in that, right? And I will show you the parameters what I got. So like we applied the EST, and EST will obviously reduce your blowdown since you are reducing the levels of calcium, chlorides, alkalinity, and we can work at obviously therefore at higher COCs. Let's see what changes in LSI it makes. So you can see that the temperature is 32, the same. pH also remains the same. The TDS is increased a bit, but the calcium is actually reduced. TDS increased means the harmful elements from the TDS is being taken out. You can see in the previous slides that calcium was a bit higher, but alkalinity was also a bit higher. So based on that, we are getting a LSI of 0.87. So you can see it has drastically reduced from 1.3 to 0.8. So that is a clear indication that the water is now less prone, first of all, for scaling, and secondly, whatever scaling will be there, that will taken care by the EST system. So here is a detailed this thing. 1.3 to 0.8 the LSI scale drop. So the system is more cleaner and has nearly no tendency for scaling. So based on that, your chiller approach will also be maintained, and IKW per TR consumption will be maintained, obviously. And the overall system will be likely to run at design efficiency. And here is a small picture, you can skip. Right? Some international standards we can follow for those systems. Then what all savings you will be having, like chemical cost savings, water consumption, water reuse, you can do recycle that water, the old water, blown down water, sorry. Then in case if you have softener previously, you can remove that softener footprint and capex, and obviously the power consumption reduction. Uh, Fine. If something is there, in some questions are there, one can know, or we can proceed for the other portion, like filtration solutions, right? So first, we was discussing on the treatment part. The treatment part is basically for the dissolved solid or the TDS, or in case scaling, corrosion, biofilm. So those are dissolved things in the water, right? So that is one part of the topic, and second part is filtration is for total suspended solids. That was for dissolved solids, and this is for suspended solids. So if you, this water treatment and filtration actually goes hand to hand, like, so if we can do both, we can adopt both the practices, it will be beneficial for our cool condenser systems, right? So it will be working at your design efficiencies. So here in this picture, you might be questioning, what is this picture showing all, right? So these arrows, if you can see a bit, these arrows actually are depicting the cooling towers on the terrace rooftops of buildings, right? So we all know, like, cooling towers are present everywhere in the cities, in a busy industrial schedule or in a residential high-end this building blocks, offices, commercial parks. So cooling towers are present everywhere, right? And means its vicinity towards a transportation site or any based on out of pollution will obviously impact the cooling tower performance also. So that's actually, the cooling tower is only open part in the loop, right? So that's where it gets a way for ducts to go in. Rajeshri, shall I continue, or we
Sir,
can have
continue,
a
continue, no issues, sir.
also first? Yeah.
Continue, sir, no issues.
Okay. So those were the some types of cooling tower. What pictures were being shown? Here is another cooling tower. Yeah. So generally, what is the reality actually? Are these air scrubbers, like, because what happens due to this draught fan, right? When it is sucking air from the atmosphere, it will have the inflow of ducts towards through the uh, open space and then through the fields, might be, right? So those ducts will not found a place to go out of the system. It will deposit in your system only, right? So what are the basic sources of suspended solids? Obviously, it's through the source of air or airborne entry. It can come through makeup water. In some sites, they In some sites will have STP facilities, right? Wherever in other site makeup waters might be coming from borewell directly also to the cooling towers. So these two are the basic entries, right? So here is a reference from ASHRAE 2012 handbook actually, which says like a typical 200-ton cooling tower operating 1,000 hours per year, right? Wherever in a year like it's 8760 hours, it can assimilate near about 600 pounds of particulate matter from airborne dust and makeup water supply. And obviously, what I was saying, the proximity of highways and construction site air pollutions and operating hours are all the factors which depend the tower soil loading. Right? But if those are high, then obviously your deposition will be from 600 pounds or 300 kgs to 600 kg. So ASHRAE handbook suggests that mechanical filtration may be used to reduce suspended solids to a acceptable load level. Also, that continued it's a ASHRAE 2010, right? ASHRAE Green Guide. Continued filtration of the circulating water and basin sweeping system should be considered to keep basin free from visible dirt, which is generally 40 micron or larger. So we have heard of the problems, right? First, we have discussed to just go through a brief. First, we have discussed of the problems of cooling tower water treatment, like why we should require a proper treatment. That was to deal with the scaling, corrosion, biofouling, and your blowdown losses, and to have a much more effective uh, heat transfer efficiency. On the other hand, we are seeing that not only that, but suspended solids also affects your system, right? Like in why I said that treatment and filtration go hand to hand, because those problems also actually go hand to hand. Meaning, right, the calcium carbonate or scaling which is being deposited in your system, if it finds sand or silt coming through the cooling tower, so that calcium carbonate and the sand mix together form a gypsum sort of solution, which will clog your condenser tubes, fields. So we'll see some type, sometimes some concrete type structures in the cooling tower fields might be in the condenser tube, which needs to be jet washed after a year or so, or the fields need to be changed. So these are because of that only, because your scaling plus this suspended solids put together mix and form a heavy duty this concrete type structures. So not only treatment, we need to take care of filtrations. Previous slide, please. So what are the approaches for filtration, right? What all filtration approaches can be considered. First one is like basin sweeping filtration. Second is side stream filtration. Third is full stream filtration. So I'll go one by one, right? Why it is called basin sweeping filtration? So you can see a rough schematic here, which shows a cooling tower, a loop like the system pump or the condenser pump, then it goes to the chiller, then back to the nozzles, right? Well, you can see another system which is an isolated system to our condenser system. So that is having an intake from the cooling tower basin. It is having its own pump. It is giving to the separator the dirty water, and the dirty water goes, and from the separator the clean water goes to the hydro boosters or nozzles, you can say. So those nozzles will sweep the particles towards the inlet of the separator. So what happens? This cycle continues, and the sweeping mechanism continues so that all the dirts are collected through the separator and clean water is given through the hydrolysis, basically. So over a period of time, it keeps the your basin of the cooling tower totally clean, right? So no manual cleaning will be required in that case. And further to that, you are actually cleaning that in your source. Like cooling tower is the only open thing in the system. Otherwise, no entry of ducts will be taking place somewhere else. So you are cleaning at source only, where the ducts are entering. So that's why the basin sweeping solution is the most like effective solution for filtration. Further to that, you can have a side stream filtration. Side stream filtration, as the name suggests, right? It will take some portion of the flow rate. Like you have you have a cooling tower flow rate of 3000 USGPM, right? It's a 100-ton cooling tower having a flow rate of 3000 USGPM. So if you design a side stream system, so you will be taking nearly 10 to 30% of the total flow rate. Like, so it will be designed for 300 to like 900 USGPM for the side stream. Suppose like the pump, system pump or the circulation pump is 3000 USGPM. So this green pump or the separator pump will be sized to 300 USGPM to 900 USGPM. So it is a easy to retrofit application, and also it's an economical solution because wherever somewhere you will have like 10 cooling towers of 1000 TR, right? So the total flow rate is like something near about 30,000 USGPM. So you cannot have a massive system clearing that much filtration, right? So this, in that case, you can have a 3000 USGPM system, which or two system of 1500 USGPM. So that keeps the system cleaner on a regular basis, right? So you can see when the dirt goes from the condenser pump, the system installation is such that they will have a funnel type projection in that tapping, right? So it will take maximum dirt to the separator and give the clean water back to the system. So obviously the inflow of dirt to your system will be lesser than your filtration rates, right? So over a period of time, your condenser loop will be cleaner. The third solution is a full stream solution. It can be applied in small systems, basically, right? So you are seeing that full stream, as the name suggests, it will like for a 100 TR cooling tower, you will have 300 USGPM type flow rate. So you can have a 300 USGPM separator itself. So it doesn't require additional pump. The condenser pump is pushed through that separator. All the dirts are being absorbed by the separator, and the clean water goes to your condenser. So that's the most effective actually, because you are keeping your parent equipment or the condenser fully clean, right? So here is a basic operation of the separator, means whether let it be basin sweeping or side stream or full stream, right? The separator remains the same. Only the flow rate varies and the sizes of the separator varies. But the technology remains the same. It can be applied to sand filter. It can be applied to non-barrier filters. Any filter can be taken approach through that, right? But however, the most effective filtration in cooling tower is the non-barrier centrifugal separators, right? So I'll just go a brief through the operations of non-barrier filtration. It's an excellent design, this thing product. So here is the inlet to the separator, right? So the dirty water from the condenser will enter through that, right? And you can see that the inlet is projected somewhat tangential to the entry part. So what happens when the dirty water enters with the dirt? It will have a swirl action, right? So after that, it will go through those small slots, black color it's represented, right? So it is also tangentially. So farther when it come below in that zone, it will have more acceleration or centrifugal action, right? So due to this centrifugal action, what happens? It's like all the dirts will come towards the periphery. I'll give you a small example just to correlate. Like if we take some sugar in a tea and then wipe up with a spoon, right? So we'll see the sugars will be towards the periphery. So the same thing happens actually, but at a higher scale and at a higher efficiency, obviously. So all the dirts will be towards the periphery and clean water will be in the between. So dirts will fall due to their gravity and will be collected in the collection chamber at the below. While due to the pressure difference between the upper zone and the lower zone, the water from the center will be dragged up, right? So you can see that the blue arrow depicts the clean water going out through the outlet. So the beauty of this equipment is that like it doesn't has a mechanical moving part inside that for filtration, right? Like earlier we'll be having barrier filtration. Barrier filtration in the word, there will be a barrier screen or a barrier media like sand. So what are the barrier filters? Does they perform is like they will trap the bigger particles which are coming in while let go the smaller particles through that. And over a period of time, the barrier, either a mesh or a sand, will be deposited by enough amount of dirt, and thereby your efficiency reduces slowly, and also the pressure drop will increase. And over a time, when we cannot go farther, we need to backwash that. Like the water needs to be routed through opposite direction, and the dirts to be splashed out of the system to the drain. So, but here in this system, there is a constant pressure drop since you are not having any mesh or this thing, and there is no such backwashing or water wastage also, right? So here's the total fouling factors graph. What I have shown previously was uh, based on treatment only. So this is the total fouling factor graph. Like 0.001 is the most cleanest system, right? Here you will have obviously starting from 0.001. So those are shown with asterisks. Typical fouling occurs in this range, right? So we will start from 0.001, which is nearly about 0.012 inch, like 0.3 mm, what previous slide also showed. So that itself has an increase of 11% power consumption. By power consumption, what I am meaning, like due to increase of your like depositions, the heat transfer efficiencies are not what they are designed for. Like they will have flames on the condenser tubes, films on the fields, right? Maybe a coating on the pipelines. So those all are reducing your heat transfer efficiencies of the system, right? So based on that, your chiller approach is increasing slowly, right? And so the power consumption, chiller condenser side has to do more work to cool down that amount of water at required time. So that is being expensed with the this power increase. Right? So basically, your cool chiller is doing more work, and chiller is taking more like chiller is having more IKW per TR. You can say. So with a 0.001 increase in the fouling factor, we have seen an increase of 11% in the total consumption, electricity consumption. So that's a filtration and water treatment which goes hand to hand. What I have said previously, um, it obviously reduces corrosion, scaling, fouling, and biofungal activities. So that's all. I believe Mr. K got stuck today somewhere, so he is not able to join. I believe so. Yeah. Anybody has some questions, please.
सौरभ जी 3 क्वेश्चन है.
Yeah, yeah. Sir, means can you share the brand name or something in this session? I believe. How are salt removed from the system? Salts like you can say the hardness is basically for two types of salts, whether it's magnesium salt or the calcium salts, right? So based on that, it forms carbonate and being really removed in that format, right? References in Gujarat. As far as I remember, I don't have references for my unit still in Gujarat. We have in most of them in North India. North India, as in sense UP, Lucknow, uh, this thing like Bangalore and south part of India.
For this webinar. I hope all the members learn from this webinar. And sir, hello.
Yeah, 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 Venkateshi. One more question I can see, like one asks that how is salt being removed, and because it is precipitated in the cathode or the inner wall of the tank. So we are having a specialized this thing like there is a scraper motor, right? That is linked to a scraper or a mechanism which can swipe off the calcium deposited from the walls of the tank. So by those mechanism, it is being removed actually. Cost per TR actually it is a minimum cost only, and you can have that payback period near about in a 8 months to 9 months period. MOC of anode and cathode, right? Anode I obviously discussed. Anode is somewhere it's titanium nickel oxide generally coated. Titanium bars with nickel oxide coated, so they have a high resistance to the electric current and doesn't dissociate, right? In other electrolysis process, it will dissociate. The anode might dissociate, but in this case, we generally it's a tough metallurgy which is being used, so it doesn't. And cathode is basically a carbon state and given with polarities, obviously.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I am Prabhakar calling from Mysore chapter, sir.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, Prabhakar.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I work for BRC, Department of Atomic Energy.
You work for, pardon? Your voice is
BARC, BARC, sir. I work for BARC, BRC,
great.
Baba
Great.
Atomic Research Center.
Yeah, yeah, great.
Yes, sir. Thing is, they have cooling towers taking from 500 TR to like 250 TR and again 150 TR, sir. Okay, different zones. Now,
I'm losing your
able to
voice.
hear, sir, able to hear, sir. Hello, hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it okay, sir? Now, is it okay, sir? Now, is it okay?
Yeah, yeah. It's much clearer.
Okay, sir. Thing is, we have a cooling towers of 500 TR2, sir. Usually we operate one is standby, sir. Suppose I wanted to incorporate your like what you explained other system like separation and
Right.
so what how much I have to go, sir? What capacity I have to go? Like anything, any calculation is there?
No, for generally 5,000 TR system, if you are saying one working, one standby, you can have a
Yes.
combined system for both. Whenever it's working, you can put, or you can have for both the systems also, right? But one thing,
In a common header, one system we can have, sir. Both
right?
things, at least. Yeah.
And
Actually, we are interested, sir, in this. Actually, I was working out for this. I will send an inquiry in your mail ID when you are mentioned. Is it
Thanks.
okay, sir?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, I will send inquiry to you, sir. Making the specific, you can send brochure and everything to you. Sir. Like, we will
Fine.
have a- because we are interested.
Yeah, we can discuss on
Uh,
that.
Yeah, you have Bangalore office also.
What would be the MOC of anode and cathode? That I have replied, I believe. And power consumption is actually for 1000 TR is very low. Actually, it's
Ah.
it's near about 2 kilowatt total. What is the cost of 300 TR central chilled water system with two working ones? I believe you can contact me. We can have a discussion on that separately, right? Dish, you can contact me. We can have that discussion on the costing.
You can share our contact details, sir, on screen.
Yeah, yeah. Because I am not allowed here to discuss on the commercial time. This thing. Any further questions from the participants? Anything regarding the filtration approaches, regarding the treatment? I'm here to answer.
One question is there, sir. Which brand is better for induced draft flow?
Pardon?
Which brand is better for induced draft flow?
Induced draft flow. It's not like the brand name or something. You should go with the brand which will have higher efficiencies in particles.
Right.
That's it. Whether it is an induced draft or it's based on your design, obviously, design of the system, and obviously the efficiency of the system. Somewhere they will go with 5 micron level filtration. 5 micron level filtration is, I believe, not required for the system. Down to 40 microns to 98% sort of efficiencies is good than enough for cooling towers. We don't need to drink that water, right? We just need to take out the suspended solids, which will otherwise create a trouble with the system. So for brand and all, I can suggest you to reach me personally. I believe that will be better. Thanks. Any further questions? Can you provide the presentation slide from?
I am sure all the members have definitely learned from it. We missed Mr. Kher, but thank you for your presence, Saurabh sir. Thank you so much.
Sure. Actually, if Mr. K would have been there, I believe the session would have been more interactive and more lively also. However, I had in the back end of my
Right.
a member with me called Varsha. Varsha, you can introduce yourself a bit. Say hello to everyone.
Yeah, hello to everyone.
The
I am
background
Varsha Sharma
for
from
all this
Sevcon India.
The presentation actually. So
Thank you, ma'am.
for support.
Welcome.
Saroji, thank you very much. Nice presentation.
Thanks, sir, for the opportunity you have given to us to introduce our systems, introduce the technology to the more broader this platform actually.
Yes, sir. So can we conclude it?
Sure. If some more questions are there,
Yeah.
reach us directly. We have shared the number, and I believe you can. Amit ji will also.
No issue, sir.
Rajendra ji also.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Yeah.
Bye. Bye to everybody.
Thanks to the participant for joining this session. Obviously.
Sure, sir.
Follow our social media
Okay.
for further details. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
Varsha.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
you, sir.
Mr.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
Mr. Venkatesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to the final thanks to the Ahmedabad chapter, right?
Right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.